Did I hit it? Okay, we're live.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother. What we do here is go back.
Hey!
Hey!
We're back.
Back. Boom, boom.
Shout out, iDubbbz, Content Cop. Can't wait for that to come.
Yes. Oh my God.
Rip his song off. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live chat with me and Jessi. We are going to be talking about Wrestlemania 36, Night 2. A lot of stuff to get to. Obviously, most people are probably talking about Firefly Funhouse, so we'll be talking about that a lot. We're going to be talking about everything, the whole card, give you our thoughts, everything. So if you guys want to join the chat, feel free. If you send a super chat, we will prioritize your question. Make sure to elaborate on it. If you have a question, statement, comment, whatever it is, we'll make sure to talk about that right here on the air. And I have a PayPal link that I'll drop in the chat right now. Actually, Jessi, if you don't mind dropping it, just because you're highlighted in the chat, so people will probably see it a little easier.
Yeah. Just send it to me.
Let me send that to you on Skype. So I'm putting this out there because we had some people who wanted to super chat us on the stream yesterday, but were unable to because of restrictions from the country they live in. So if you want to send a donation, let us know you donated. I'll check my PayPal. If I see it in there, we'll treat it just like a super chat. So if you have a question, comment, statement, whatever it is, you send anything through PayPal. I'll check it. I see it there. We will treat it just like a super chat. While we are getting set up here, Jessi, let everyone know how you're doing today.
I am doing really good. I'm tired. I haven't slept much, but that's okay. Definitely don't have like the typical WrestleMania hangover, I guess one might say, because it was 2 nights. Which we can discuss the benefits and the problems, the pros and cons of 2 nights. I see a lot of people want it to be 2 nights. Having a lot of fun. Really excited to talk about all the crazy stuff that happened last night. I thought it was really neat. I did just put the PayPal link in the chat. Thank you everyone for chatting with me, saying hi, loving the opinions. I see a lot. I see you, John. I see you, Zay. I see you, Steven. I see you, Solus. I see everybody. Thank you so much. Make sure you're subscribed and like this and share it. It'd really mean a lot to us if you like, share. If you want a super chat, you can. I know this is really tough times, but those are much appreciated. But you don't have to. You don't have to. No pressure, but it'd be cool. And the PayPal link is there. I'm doing pretty good. Just a little tired. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. I enjoyed the fact that WrestleMania was 2 nights this year. I like the idea. I'm just getting set up on my other screen here. I like the whole scenario of having basically 4 hours, give or take. I think it was maybe 4.5 hours this past night. But splitting it up over 2 nights, I think, is really refreshing. I think most people really like that as well. Everyone that I've been seeing online has been saying, like, I hope that this is a 2-year thing going forward. Mm-hmm. I completely agree. I don't feel like I have that WrestleMania hangover either. And, obviously this would be a much different conversation about certain things if there was, a crowd, which there's just nothing anyone can do about that. So I think that WWE did the best of a bad situation, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've talked about it on past streams how AEW does such a fantastic job of these shows with no fans, and WWE. My biggest takeaway from it is that WWE obviously has the ability creatively to satisfy their fan base, but for whatever reason they only do it like under these circumstances.
In dire straits.
Yeah, because like. The MVP of the weekend is Matt Hardy, by the way. Like, the MVP is Matt Hardy. Because, how crazy is that the 2 most talked about things this year at WrestleMania are basically spin-offs of his broken universe with the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match. 2 things that I have a feeling there's no way WWE does either of those things without that broken universe happening first for, like, the fans to even have a clue what the hell they're watching when something like this.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think, and that's not a knock on, like, that's not starting, SHI Tut, that's not starting anything. That's literally fact. Like, Matt Hardy kind of brought this whole cinematic pre-taped event kind of match thing into professional wrestling. And it was not perfectly, but it was perfectly utilized here in this situation, given what we had. And I think that it was an unfortunate circumstance to have to go to that, but thank goodness. Thank goodness we kind of had that baseline that he kind of set for how, like, a pre-taped, not in a wrestling ring, kind of obscure, out-of-the-box match can take place, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it totally does. Like, I'd imagine there was a lot of people, and unfortunately, I can't really get a feel for their thoughts on all this. But like, you would have to think with WrestleMania being the only kind of sporting event type thing going on in the world right now, that they would have a lot of attention on it. Like a lot of people who normally wouldn't pay attention to WrestleMania assume we're paying attention this year to some degree because there's nothing else going on. They had to have heard that this show is happening these 2 nights. So I wonder what they thought about this kind of stuff. Like if they weren't aware of the broken universe and all that, and they tuned into wrestling for the first time in a long time, and they see the Firefly Funhouse match.
Oh my god!
Like what in the world would they be thinking? But what it did really well, and I think it might have been Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful. Shout out to Sean. And shout out to my Weekender podcast, which I'll be recording today. Usually recorded on Sundays, but doing it late because of WrestleMania. I think he was the one who mentioned on Twitter something along the lines of the Firefly Funhouse rewarded the longtime hardcore fans because it.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really smart thing to say because that's exactly what it was. If you've been following the WWE like we have, and you've seen the evolution of John Cena from the ruthless aggression character through the Doctor of Thugonomics, or even before that, the prototype.
Eric Bischoff.
I was aware of him to an extent when he was at what was the wrestling school, UPW, I think it was what it was.
Whoa.
And that was back when John Cena was training there. The Miz, I believe, was training there. And Samoa Joe was there at some, maybe around the same time as well. And there was, anyway, this was back in the day. And even back then, like John Cena, like, a lot of potential back in his prototype days. And to see where he is now, and to watch how they layered all those characters into the story of the Firefly Funhouse last night. We're going to talk about it when we get to the match on the card, but it was, I understand why everybody really enjoyed it, especially the hardcore fans that have stuck with this product year after year. It did feel like a reward to us.
Yeah, I think it was cool, and obviously we'll discuss it, but I did want to say one thing that it's a little interesting. I live, if you guys don't know, I actually live near Tampa Bay. I'm not going to say exactly where, but it's definitely an easy drive for me to get up there, and I was planning to obviously be up in Tampa for WrestleMania weekend and for WrestleMania. It has not rained here in like 2 months. We have not gotten rain for 2 months, and yesterday, all day, rainy, overcast, gross. Today, rainy, overcast, gross. So it was like almost fate that WrestleMania didn't happen, because that would have been such a soggy, miserable WrestleMania. And I think it really could have like potentially changed the game. And I actually just saw that I believe WrestleVotes just reported that Tampa Bay is in the front running for WrestleMania 38 after LA, which makes a lot of sense. And I really hope that's the case, because it looks like Raymond James Stadium tweeted last night and the night before, much love from your Tampa friends. And I think that, they saw how big of an economic impact that was going to have on our area. And I feel like they really do want to have it back. So I really hope that is the case. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously they can't do anything about, moving it from California for next year. But if it was the year after, like you said, I think that would be a really nice thing, because especially for the locals like yourself, that like you don't have to make a huge trip to go to WrestleMania. But for anybody who's looking forward to going to WrestleMania this year in Tampa, maybe people who've never been to Florida. I know a lot of people come from other countries and stuff, and they can actually have that trip now that they were planning on having. Just obviously belated by a couple years, but in the city itself, like the people underestimate what it does to the local economies when events like WrestleMania come to town. It's like it's some of these small businesses, like their entire year, net profit for the year, like their goals are met or exceeded because of like that 1 week of WrestleMania. Like their whole year revolves around that week. So yeah. But that all being said, we can get into the actual matches, go match by match here, talk about WrestleMania Night 2.
Let's do it.
We did review WrestleMania Night 1 yesterday for anybody who happened to miss it. That's available right here on Jesse's YouTube channel. It's also available on my Fight Talk podcast feed. That's available anywhere that podcasts are available. So check that out in audio form if you want to listen to the audio. But yeah, tonight we're going to do night 2, or today we're going to do night 2. Let us know in the chat what you guys thought about these matches, and we'll just go from here. So,
Let's do it.
Pull up the card. Pre-show started with Liv Morgan defeating Natalya in a singles match. Went 6 minutes and 25 seconds. What did you think about this match? It was added pretty late. Like, I think it was added during our live chat yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
our live chat a couple days ago, I think. We heard about both of them. I did not watch this. I was getting ready. My husband lost his AirPods Pros yesterday, and I spent all day looking for him, and they were in the first place I told him to look. So I ended up finding them, so I was not paying attention. I was looking for his stupid AirPods. But I did kind of see Liv Morgan win, right?
Yeah, Liv Morgan won.
Yeah.
I watched it, but it's honestly there's not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, it was a pretty quick match. It wasn't bad by any means. It actually did pretty good work for like the 6.5 minutes it lasted.
Good.
But it was exactly what you would expect out of a match between the two. Didn't have any predictions for it because we didn't know what was happening as far as like Wrestle Rumble or anything is concerned. So yeah, we'll just move on. But it was good to see that they both got on the show.
Absolutely.
Natalya.
Looks like John in the chat said those two looked so happy to be there. Great match. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good point, John. So that kind of goes to what I just said. Like, at least they for their own sake, like good for them. Like they made it onto the show, and no one can take that away from them, whether there's a crowd or not. You know, whether this is the weirdest WrestleMania of all time or not. Like make it onto the biggest show. What's supposed to be the biggest show of the year is a big deal, no matter who you are.
Yeah. My child is throwing a temper tantrum right now. He hears.
Yeah, I can hear her a little.
Our neighbor is outside, and she's very upset that the neighbor probably went inside. So she's okay. She's just throwing a temper tantrum.
We're not prioritizing her safety for this podcast for anybody who.
No, my husband is out there.
Yeah.
Best. So. That's what I deal with. So.
After that, the actual.
I was like, "Is she okay?"
Right. After that, the actual show started, which kicked off with Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley to win the NXT Women's Championship in what I thought was a really good match. Went 20 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah, give me your thoughts on this one.
I loved it. I thought it was really, like, this is my brutality. This was their brutality. This was awesome. I thought that, and it's really funny, speaking of my daughter, she watches, we call it AJ Styles time. It started when she was really little because we went and met AJ Styles at WrestleMania 33. So she like knew all about AJ Styles. And she was like, oh, okay. So every time we watch WWE, it's AJ Styles time. And
wow. So AJ's her favorite?
Yeah. So she was like, and she watches with us before she falls asleep. She always watches with me. That's why sometimes my videos are a little late. But she was like, Mommy, I don't like this. And I was like, honey, what's wrong? It's AJ Styles time. She's like, no, Mommy, they're fighting for real. She was like, they're really yelling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was like really weird. I was like, no, honey, it's just there's no crowd. Because there was no crowd, you couldn't hear. Or you could hear. It really just made it seem so much more brutal. These two put on a show. They set the bar so high for this night too. I think they did a fantastic job. The finish shocked me. I couldn't believe Rhea Ripley tapped out. And this really opens the door for NXT. Really excited to see where they go in NXT. Who's Charlotte going to face? What's next for Rhea Ripley? I thought this was a great match. I thought they played off of each other's strengths beautifully. They were both incredibly talented, and they were extremely physical. And it was hurting me when they were screaming. I was like, I can feel their pain. It was just awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really, really enjoyed it. My prediction was for Wrestle Rumble. It's on the record. My prediction. Oh, geez, I don't want to be on that screen.
Yeah, I was like, "What are you doing?"
I was making sure to get on Streamlabs. The reason I was doing that, by the way, is if anybody wants to subscribe to the channel, I'm setting it up to make sure that the alerts work so that you will be your name will pop up on the screen with a little GIF thanking you for subscribing to the channel. So I am making sure that that's set up at the moment. But as far as my prediction went, I did predict Charlotte to win by submission and become the new women's champion. So I'm glad I was correct on that. I really like the match. Charlotte continues to what's the best way of putting this? She
dominate.
Yeah, dominate's a good word. She to me is presented like by far the most important woman on the roster. Like she just seems to me like she is and this is a good thing, by the way, because I think she's fantastic. When I think Charlotte Flair, I think like literally like she's the best one on the roster. When it comes to WrestleMania, she wins the big matches. No matter how hyped the other person is, she comes away with the victory. When it was Asuka at WrestleMania New Orleans, that was like, for me, that was like, wow, because I really thought Asuka was going to win.
Yeah.
And then same with Rhea Ripley this year. I went into it thinking Charlotte's kind of like the third there. And I don't know
I will be right back. You keep talking.
Yeah, go for it.
Mute myself.
But that's how I feel about it. I feel like Charlotte is presented as just the best woman on the roster, and I like that. I think that she deserves that recognition and she deserves that spot, and I think it's going to bring a lot of positive attention to NXT because similar to when Finn Balor went back to NXT, like the star power that she has and the way she's been presented and the way that she has good matches consistently. Everything about her, the lineage of her name, just being Charlotte Flair, just that alone adds so much credibility. And for her to be on NXT, I think is a very smart move for the WWE because with AEW on Wednesdays and them getting so much buzz and pretty much every week I believe they defeat NXT in the ratings on Wednesdays. I think Charlotte on NXT every Wednesday against AEW is going to bring more attention to NXT. Not necessarily make it more entertaining or interesting than AEW for me, but it does add another layer to it. They put, so honestly, such a big star like Charlotte Flair back on NXT. John Rubino says, no way she's the best on the roster, but yes, she wins. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying, though, right? I mean, obviously, it's all predetermined, so there's no way of, like, who's really the best at any of this, right? But she wins big matches consistently. He says, yes, that alone, her dad's name. Well, I don't think it's all on her dad's name. I think her dad's name definitely helps. Similar to Cody. Obviously, he doesn't use the name Cody Rhodes anymore. But, there's I don't know if I should say her name on stream or not.
It's okay. You can say her name.
Well, there's Jesse's daughter.
Yeah, she's a little upset. Sorry, there was like a little situation outside. Our neighbor said she looks like a baby and dresses like a boy, which I'm not really happy about. Yes, but I heard you talking about Charlotte and living up to her dad's name, right? Yeah,
well, I mean, so John Rubino, who, thank you for joining the chat, by the way, John, and he brings up, just kind of the other side of what I'm saying here to an extent. So I'm basically saying Charlotte is the best woman wrestler on the way that she's been presented is she's the best and she wins the matches and all this. And he was basically saying, no way she's the best on the roster, but yes, she wins. And I'm saying, well, there's really no difference because who's really the best at any of this? It's all predetermined. Someone else is deciding who wins and loses. So
it's up to them to put on the show and look like the best.
Right. And Charlotte pulls that off. I think the best woman wrestler on the planet right now is Tessa Blanchard. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
That's based on talent. Like just actual in-ring talent and ability and the way that she has believable intergender matches, which I think is an underrated talent because there's some good intergender wrestling out there, but in my honest opinion, most of it is really bad. It just needs to be presented in a certain way, and Tessa can do that. She accomplishes it really well. And I think Charlotte would be able to also. She just doesn't really have the opportunity to do that in the WWE.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's all to say. Like, it. I guess John was also mentioning, her dad's name. It's like, well, that helps. Like being being Randy Orton helps. So when you're Cowboy Bob Orton's son, like you being being Rocky Maivia, Rocky Johnson, The Rock. Everyone knows he's a third generation wrestler. These people would have made it without that last name. The last name just adds to it. It doesn't make them, because we've seen
Puts a lot of pressure on them too.
Sure, and we've seen plenty of second generation, like Manu and Ted DiBiase Jr. that were both in the Legacy stable with Cody and Orton. Both of them, neither of them made it. I mean, Wes Briscoe didn't make it. Garrett Bischoff didn't. I mean, there's plenty of second generation wrestlers who don't make it. Like, it isn't all based on your last name, but the last name, if you're already talented, the last name can help you even farther. But I'm just looking at the chat now because we are getting some good discussion on this, which I really appreciate.
Hold on. I'm gonna mute myself again.
You're okay. JGZ says nowadays they are high on Charlotte and Becky. Yeah, for sure. Definitely high on Charlotte and Becky. Let's see. Sola Senpai says, I think Charlotte is really talented, and her wins allow her to seriously elevate women's stars across WWE. I agree to an extent. It's just a balance of being able to. It's similar to, like, I don't want to compare her to John Cena, but it's almost similar where it's like you need to have those people that are at that upper echelon level. I like that. I don't like 50-50 booking. I like some outliers, some people who win a lot more often than they lose, because then it makes it a big deal when those people are defeated. It helps put over the opponents that beat them. Mm-hmm. And Charlotte, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Like,
right.
It makes her look incredible when she beats these people the way that she does, but how does Rhea Ripley look coming off of this? Like, does she look worse
She
or the
looked,
same?
I think it was a good match. So.
I agree, but it's
okay.
I mean, if she would have beat Charlotte, she'd be viewed as like a major women's star. She's still, I think her stock still rose because it was a really good match.
Yeah.
And, she go from here. So we'll see. Her and Becky could be good. Like there's stuff that Rhea can do, for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options. Let's see what else people are saying here. Diego Beltran says, I think Charlotte's biggest drawback is her promos, but I don't discredit her charismatic abilities. That's fair. I don't think she's the best promo in the world, but she also isn't terrible at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's good enough as a character and in the ring that the promos don't have to be incredible for her to still be a really high-level worker. Soul Senpai basically says what I just said. In the ring, ring-wise, she's extremely talented. Her promos need work. Yeah. Diego says Domino didn't make it. I loved his gimmick. Yeah, and Domino was the son of Jimmy Snuka, right? So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So being just a second or third generation wrestler doesn't make you a superstar automatically.
No.
Ronbo Sports says nobody can compare Cena regardless of female or male. He has the crowd factor. Charlotte's not there yet. No, I agree. That's why I kind of said Cena, but what I meant by the Cena comparison to Charlotte was more like Cena got to that next like that upper echelon superstar level, and because he always won in those spots, towards the end it kind of changed a little bit, but for like 10 to 13 years, like, he was winning pretty much all the big matches that mattered, and nobody else got elevated with him to that level. So there's that's where the double-edged sword is with that. A lot of good stuff in the chat.
I know. Thank you, Chad, for replacing me for a minute while my child has a mental breakdown.
Yes. would you want to go back? We can talk about some more of these matches.
Yeah, let's do it.
And once again, if you super chat or you PayPal, we will prioritize whatever you put in the chat. For the time being, we'll get back to talking about some of these matches. Up next, we had Aleister Black defeating Bobby Lashley in 7 minutes and 20 seconds. I mean, this was what it was. I thought it was good for the time that it lasted. It met the expectations I had of it. And the guy really, really hard. And I think
Aleister Black's gear was great.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people online saying that. So
I loved the horned jacket. Very cool. Would love to borrow it. But it was. I thought I had zero expectations going into this match. I was kind of like, man, whatever. I know Aleister Black's gonna win because Aleister Black is just really cool and needs a win. But like the dynamic between like the look that Bobby and Lashley had afterwards was super interesting, and like the cryptic tweets. It feels like they kind of took a break from Lana and Bobby drama for a while. I can't remember if he was hurt or something, but I'm just glad they all got on the card for WrestleMania, and I guess we'll see more of this, you know. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Do you think Aleister Black was the right decision to win?
Yeah.
Me too. There's not a whole lot more we can say about it. Both guys are talented. I'm not a fan of the Bobby Lashley Lana storyline in general. It's just not for me.
Hey, remember when Lana came after me?
Wait, what? Lana came after you?
You don't remember that? Oh man, you missed that. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so when she did the whole I'm pregnant thing, and she was like, I don't like it because I'm FAT, and, you know, I'll get UGLY. Sorry, got a little kid. I was like, I just really don't feel comfortable liking this and watching this just because of my own personal experience with pregnancy and eating disorder. So I made a video about that, just saying that, you know, WWE like worked really hard on the women's revolution, and this kind of felt like a step back, and she came after me. But then I understood that she was in character. Let me just say, I can't really say much, but I understood she was in character, and I got it, and I didn't take it personally. But a lot of people did, and it caused a lot of drama. So, but I do really respect CJ Perry. I think she's really nice, so I will say that. But yeah. Oh my gosh, we got a super chat. Thank you, Ronbo.
Yes, thank you, Rombo. Jesse, if you want to go ahead and read that, thank you, Rombo, very much. That is super appreciated for that.
Yes. Imagine if we had Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse. It would have been better than CRAP we got at Payback. More Firefly Funhouse matches. Yes, I was thinking that. I was.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, you know, we'll elaborate more on the Firefly Funhouse match down the card. But to address your question right now, because of the super chat once again, I would say it would surprise me if they didn't do more stuff like this in the future. Like with the positive response it's getting, especially online, from like really cynical fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, wrestling fans, especially the hardcore wrestling fans, are not easy to please. Like I fully acknowledge that. Like I can have a million criticisms for the WWE, and you know I'm a very cynical fan myself. So if I can be watching a show like this and be entertained by a match like the Firefly Funhouse or like the Boneyard match, they're doing something right. And you know, do I want all professional wrestling to become some sort of like cinematic movie type thing? No, I don't want all of it to be like that. But given the right circumstances and the right storylines, I don't know why you wouldn't do more stuff like this.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I really think it did open a door for more creativity like this. I feel like that, what was it called? The one match, the House of Horrors match. We looked that up. With like the dirty refrigerator and the baby doll heads everywhere. And then he burned it down. All of Seth Rollins. I thought this was much better. I thought it was like really cool. I mean, obviously they had a lot more time to film it and go through with it. You okay? And sorry, she's got a cold.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought that they looking at what they did with Edge and Randy Orton, and then looking at what they did with the Firefly Funhouse, that did cross my mind. Thinking, man, if they would have had that opportunity, it would have been so good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Diego saying House of Horrors match. Yeah, that was the match that Orton and Wyatt had at the compound, which was not. It didn't go over nearly like this did. I thought the House of Horrors match was really goofy, and I believe that's what most people thought when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, things like this could replace your let me put it this way. So now that the WWE audience, or the WWE rather, knows that their audience has a positive reception to these type of things, like they are seeing how much everyone's loving the Funhouse match and the Boneyard match.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you, so let's put it this way, something that the fans hate and are vocal about and consistently criticize is the scripted promos. Like everybody, like Roman Reigns is like the biggest victim of this in recent memory. Somebody who, I think Roman Reigns has a ton of talent. I really do. I think he's actually pretty darn good better in the ring than people give him credit for. And he seems like a really cool guy. And obviously I really respect the fact that he, deals with cancer and has overcome it. And he seems like a great dude. But his wrestling character hasn't translated because he's reading these scripted promos and people know it's fake. I mean, it just isn't genuine. And you could replace all that kind of stuff with things like the Firefly Funhouse and the Boneyard matches. Like, even if it wasn't a match, even if they were just video packages that are shot in a similar way. Like, imagine not sitting through a 20-minute promo at the beginning of Raw on Monday, but instead sitting through a 20-minute video like this where, characters are being developed, storylines are continuing, and, it's shot in a really cool way. Why, you know what I mean? Replace the scripted promos with things like this, and I think the fans would be really be positively receptive to it.
Yes, I agree.
Wedgie, first, Undisputed Productions, hello, thank you for joining the chat. Wedgie Dude, hi. Oh, Wedgie Dude, welcome back.
Wedgie Dude!
I remember you from before. You have a very memorable name. Undisputed Productions, haven't you noticed something? WWE been cussing more recently. Yeah, they said, I don't want to get demonetized on here, but they've been saying the word BITCH,
too much.
Yeah. It's weird, so weird that my brother, who we've been talking about a lot on the show, he was watching WrestleMania with me and he pointed it out. He was like, "What is this like? Is this like the new word that everyone uses on the show?" Like,
right?
So that was kind of weird. But they have been cussing more often. Diego Beltran, I feel like they're setting up a feud with Braun for the championship, which is great, especially with Bray bringing back his old gimmick. Me and Jesse talked about that a lot yesterday, the possibility of Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman wrestling for the Universal Championship.
Yeah.
I can see it happening. I think Roman will get the next crack unless the company is totally soured on him for skipping WrestleMania or something.
Mm-hmm.
JGZ, get rid of scripted promos. That's exactly what I'm saying. Get rid of scripted promos, replace them with vignettes and Firefly Funhouse.
Sorry, my kid is throwing it. She is okay, guys. I sincerely apologize. I had to lock the door just because she's throwing a fit. Our neighbor, like I said, our neighbor's kid came over and said she looked like a baby and dressed like a boy, which I'm not happy about. And she's sick, so I'm really, really sorry. She's totally fine, but she's literally throwing a fit. She's sitting.
Yeah, she's going nuts. Julian, hey Jesse and Steven, how are you guys? What's up, Julian? Welcome back to the chat. Brent Collins, Liv Morgan, Money in the Bank. I can see that happening. I mean, she's, no worse of a choice than anyone else. You know what I mean? I haven't really thought too much about the women's Money in the Bank scenarios, but Liv Morgan would make sense, though, I think. It's probably a good call. Diego Beltran, she's freaking out. I hope she's doing well. She's not having a good day. Yeah, just is what it is. John says, ha ha ha, daddy time, lol. Yeah, daddy time. That's not me. I'm not daddy, but yeah. I don't know. See, and I'm on the complete opposite spectrum as Jessi. I am single with no children and live by myself, so it's like complete opposite dynamic here as far as what she deals with on a daily basis and what I deal with.
Yes, we're okay over here. She's just having a moment. I don't really appreciate what neighbor's kid said, so I'm a little mad about that. So we're just gonna have some hugs. And she would be at preschool right now, but she's got a little bit of a cold. We took her to the doctor. She does not have the thing, so we're fine. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where Bray Wyatt goes next.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll get to that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I wanted to make sure you were sat down and ready for this one.
Yeah.
I know you were a big fan, and so was I. Up next, we had Otis defeating Dolph Ziggler in a singles match in 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Dolph had Sonya Deville in his corner, and this was Dolph Ziggler's first ever singles match at WrestleMania.
I saw that.
I think it was his 8th WrestleMania. I think that was courtesy of Justin Henry from Cultaholic. I think that's who I saw on Twitter. So shout out to Justin.
Or did Zack Ryder say it as well? I think Zack Ryder said something.
Oh, he definitely could have. I think I saw Justin say it. Or if not, I was following a lot of Justin's tweets during the show. He was on fire during WrestleMania. So if Justin happens to watch this, I thoroughly enjoyed your tweets during WrestleMania last night. But what were your thoughts on this, Jessi? Otis gets the win and gets the girl, gets the kiss, the whole deal. Internet.
Oh God.
What were your thoughts?
Yeah. So I love this. I thought it was great. When Sonya Deville came out with Dolph Ziggler, I was like, whoa. I just, with the way that WWE books like kind of these relationship angles that are actually kind of like good and would be good, I was really, really worried. I was really worried that Otis was going to take an L. I was really worried that Mandy would betray him and break his heart. And I don't think I could have handled much more heartbreak. So I was very nervous and very on edge during this entire like feud. And then when Mandy came out and was like, and she kicked Dolph Ziggler in the you-know-where and slapped Sonya. Oh my God, it was so great. Uh-oh. Yeah, and it was just, she looked like a beautiful goddess. She looked so sexy, and her chest game was amazing.
Her chest game was amazing. I agree.
I don't want to say like that word, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she was just incredible. And so Otis gets the win, which thank goodness, because he needed that. And then when he picked her up, I was like, yes. And I was using this mic. I clipped the audio. I screamed so loud. The audio just completely just rage quit on me. And I was so happy. It was like, that was my WrestleMania moment. Can you imagine the pop? Can you imagine the pop?
Oh, I know. Unfortunately, we didn't get the pop, but we did get a super chat just now from Corey Williams. So thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you so much. And he was asking about this match, or had a statement about this match. So great timing. So did anyone else notice that Otis tried to go extra at the end, but was lightweight denied? That's really funny.
No, I was too busy freaking out. What happened? Did he try to tongue or something?
No, I don't know. I think what he's referring, I could be wrong, but I think he was probably, like, when they were kissing, I think he kept kind of, like, going back in, like
Aww.
pack, you know?
It's his one chance.
Yeah, and so, like, I think they had probably done what was, like, the approved, no, I shouldn't say approved, kind of the scripted, like, they had done what they had practiced, and then Otis was probably a little bit more, let's get a couple more in here before we get out of here. Otis is the man, by the way. I love
Otis. Otis should be champion of everything.
Give him the world title. I don't care. The championship.
Yeah.
Trying to stay monetized here. The titles don't mean anything anyways at this point for the most part. So I give him the world title. Wouldn't bother me at all.
Yes, me either.
He's entertaining. I wonder what they're gonna do with Tucker though. Like if they're just gonna keep that a tag team or let Otis shine on his own or what.
I wonder. I don't know. But thank you so much, Corey, for the super chat. That really means a lot. Seriously.
Yeah.
But I didn't even notice that, so thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. If anyone else has any kind of fun, and I hope that's what you were referring to. If not, I just made a really weird assumption.
I'm pretty sure that is going extra at the end. I'm pretty sure that's what it means. But she looked beautiful. This was a beautiful moment. This was justice. It was fantastic. Thank you to the mystery hacker for revealing the truth. We
Yes.
shall see where this goes.
That's
Ooh,
right.
Otis versus Braun. That'd be good.
I did forget that was still a part of like this story, and we were saying on a past stream that we were thinking probably Ali, which or you had said Ali, and I think that you're probably right. I think that would make a lot of sense. Corey Williams says it was, so okay, cool.
Oh, good.
Okay. And I was gonna feel really stupid if that wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soul Senpai says Otis versus Braun. I'm down. Why not? But they got to put Otis over him, which I don't think they would do. But
No.
I want to see Otis go over Braun clean. I'm thoroughly more entertained by Otis than I am Braun Strowman personally.
Me too. He's so much more diverse.
Yeah.
Otis.
Yeah, he reminds me of. They said I think JBL compared him like to Bam Bam Bigelow on commentary, which is a pretty good comparison.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a Bam Bam Bigelow Vader type guy because he has so much charisma. Like he's like this weird 2020 hybrid version of a Bam Bam Bigelow kind of like because he does a lot more. Bam Bam Bigelow can do some really cool stuff. He can do like a really nice moonsault and stuff. But yeah, I think that Otis is a lot of fun. But I do feel for Tucker a little bit because he didn't even make the Mania show, you know, and he's the guy's tag team partner, so like
Yeah.
kind of sucks for him. But yeah, we'll see where it all goes.
Yeah.
We had, I know you got some thoughts on this one for sure. So we had Edge versus Randy Orton. This match was a last man standing match. Edge got the win in 36 minutes and 35 seconds. I know you had mentioned that you thought the match went too long. I saw people online saying the same, but to the contrary, there were a lot of people that really enjoyed the match and the whole story. So we'll start off with you. What did you think about this one? Like, what do you think about Edge getting the win? We were both right about Otis beating Dolph, I think.
Yeah.
And I took Edge. I think you took Edge as well.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on all this?
I thought this was like I do think it went too long, but it's not exactly the worst thing in the world. Like I'm not losing sleep over it. I am not like super upset about it. I thought it did go way, way, way too long. Just thinking of all just putting into like my brain and putting it all together that Edge literally just came back from retirement in like a miracle, like a medical miracle because of his injuries, his plaguing neck injuries. So this was like agonizing to watch. This was absolutely agonizing to watch. And that's not like a bad thing. I think that was kind of the emotion that they were wanting to get out of the audience. That's just pure speculation, but I was in fear for Edge's life. Had this been live, had this not been pre-taped, I would have been having so much anxiety. I would have been freaking out because this was excruciating to watch and it went on forever. I do appreciate the tour that we got of the Performance Center. I thought it was really cool to see like all the backstage stuff. Really disappointed they did not use the purple hand chair. That was just chilling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then like there's random truck with the back bed open. That was kind of weird.
There was some ladder. That ladder was like ginormous.
That ladder that was just conveniently placed upon a shelf for Edge to jump off of. It's like, oh. I mean,
I'm talking about. Oh yeah, there was that, but to the other side, like.
Oh yeah.
We only saw like part of it, but Orton when he went to grab the chairs at the end, walked underneath some ladder that was like ginormously huge. That I figured that they were gonna definitely do something off of, but I'm glad they didn't because it.
Yeah, that. Like it's the same with like Daniel Bryan, like when he did that dive to the outside. I don't want to say what the name is to get demonetized, but you know what I'm talking about, the one dive
In the weight room is what you're talking about.
Oh, no. I'm talking about when Daniel Bryan did a SUICIDI. I don't know if you can say that. Suicide dive, whatever.
Tope suicida.
Yeah. Yeah. And that like scared me. So it's kind of along the same lines with Edge. They were sweating so much. There must not be air conditioning in those back rooms. Like, I was like, there's this giant big ASS fan in the middle of the ring. You should have used that fan. That poor fan worked so hard, and you went back there and were sweating all over each other, like not social distancing. But I did think, there was a part when Randy Orton and Edge went into the weight room and they did something that I literally gasped when they did it, because there was just a Dark Side of the Ring documentary on a certain wrestler that WWE doesn't like to talk about or mention at all. And I thought that, that's kind of where my mind went. But I think you said you didn't really think about it that way. And I know I wasn't alone in that. But you're right. It was a weight room. It was kind of a thing. But I thought it was like very in poor taste.
Yeah.
To do that, I just thought it gave me a lot. But I want to be careful here, but it added to like the fear and the anxiety that I had. But I just felt like that you could have done something cool, like hit him over the head with a dumbbell or something. I don't know, like something different other than using the exercise equipment in that way. I don't know. What did you think of this match?
Yeah, as far as the weight room thing, what you're referring to, obviously, for those of you who aren't following what she's saying, and we have to be careful about our words, because we've had some of our videos have some monetization issues because of some of the language we've used. So what she's talking about is a certain rabid Wolverine that has been shown on a certain Vice documentary series lately, and the circumstances behind his passing as well as his family's passing. And the way that he passed away was somewhat depicted in what we watched last night. Like, the idea of what he did was kind of shown on screen with kind of the strangulation of Edge and Orton during that match. So the weight room thing we were just talking about, with the cord. So I saw a lot of people online talking about that. I personally think it's kind of a stretch. Like, my mind didn't go there when I saw it happening live. I was just figuring, if you were in a weight room and you were fighting somebody and you had a cord and you're like really trying to take someone out, that's how you would use it. So that's kind of all I thought of it. But they did have other options. Like, they could have done other things and not done that and wouldn't have gotten that response from people. So I understand people like seeing it that way and thinking it was kind of, in poor taste or kind of tone deaf, however you want to say it. Like, I get it. But that didn't really cross my mind, like, while I watched it, until I saw kind of some of the outrage about it afterwards. So that's just me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is a good perspective, because I didn't really see much about it. I kind of gasped and then felt guilty for thinking that. So, but then, the rest of the match was just more brutal, and I kind of forgot about it. So,
yeah. It says in the chat here, so a couple, okay, so, like, Corey Williams says, actually, I see the correlation, but I didn't think of it till you just said something. Yeah, I think a lot of people are in that boat. Like, once you think about it, then you're like, oh, okay, I guess, yeah. But there is a lot of people who did mention it right away online, for sure. Ronbo Sports Reporter says, oh, you're referring to the Wolverine.
yeah.
Diego Beltran, I do think that spot was a little dark, but I get pun intended or not intended, dark. It was a little the ring. But I guess it does make sense because they would want to kill each other, but it was a little much. Yeah, I think we all kind of agree on that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think it was to take a dig at anything, Ron. But
no.
I don't think that this thought crossed the mind of Edge or Orton either. Those are two guys who both have storied histories with this man. Like, I mean, Chris Benoit, or almost.
It's fine.
Randy Orton has won his first world title from him. Edge had, he's all Canadian. Like he's you know what I mean. He's linked forever in some way, shape, or form to kind of that Heart Dungeon and that whole group. So it's like these people have history with this guy, and I don't think that they would have in a million years like done that intentionally. So
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to like bring too much attention to it, but that was definitely like noteworthy to me. But it definitely crossed my mind, and it did kind of take me out of the moment just a little bit. But then I was put right back into it. It was just seeing Edge get really super emotional, like crying and stuff during the 10 count, and then like him telling him to stop the 10 count was like crazy to me. Like it was wild. It was emotional. I felt a lot of emotions. I also was like kind of grossed out when they were sweating all over each other. Oh my goodness. But I thought it was really, really well done. It was a little long, but it wasn't that big of a deal. So
yeah. John Rubino says, I don't think Edge is linked to the Heart Dungeon. I think he is loosely. I think he did a little, I could be wrong, but I think he did like a little bit of his training there. Like not a ton of it, but I think he's linked to them a little bit. Could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, I thought the ending of the match was presented fantastically. Like the end of the match with Edge hitting him with the single man concerto and all that stuff. And
yeah, that was really, really, really good.
And they've positioned him now to where, he just beat Randy Orton at WrestleMania in a big match, so he could conceivably be a world title challenger sometime in the near future, potentially.
Ooh, him versus Drew, right?
Yeah, or him versus
Braun Strowman.
Braun would really, but him versus Roman, I could definitely see happening. Like,
yeah.
So it'll be interesting because if Edge is back, I don't think he'll be back full time, but if he's back on kind of like a Brock Lesnar type part-time schedule, it would really only make sense for him to come back for big matches. And I feel like they really dropped the ball with Kurt Angle's return. Him like the legend he is. They really wasted opportunity in a lot of ways with Angle, I think, and I think that Edge. I hope that doesn't happen with Edge, I guess is what I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. I think he needs to be protected, have good matches, have dream matches. Like, I didn't need to see Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin, but I would have loved to see Kurt Angle versus John Cena. I didn't need to see a fake son of Kurt Angle's. It didn't.
Oh my God, I just remembered that. You're right, that was weird.
Yeah. They just totally dropped the ball. So hopefully Edge's return doesn't look like that. But
yeah, I don't think so. I feel like Edge has a lot more input on his return, especially with like Beth Phoenix being so hands-on as well in WWE right now.
Did you see the Edge documentary on the
24?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
So good.
Is it really good? I loved the Chronicle on Drew McIntyre.
Well, with that Edge documentary, and a reason why I think that he's going to have a lot of input on this return, he doesn't say it by name, but he basically says he signed with WWE because, so he came back and he did that spear at SummerSlam.
Yeah, no one talked about it, and I was like,
What?
I said no one talked about it. Remember?
Oh, right, because it was on the pre-show.
Yeah, I was like, dude.
Yeah. So he came back and he did that, and then he got an offer to wrestle from AEW.
I heard that, yeah.
And then, out of respect to Vince, because Vince has always, his own words, Edge says, Vince has always done right by him. He wanted to talk to Vince, and it wasn't like a leverage thing for like a better contract. He wanted to tell him, like, hey, I feel like I can return. I have an offer over here for this much money. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to let you know that. And Vince was like, no, if you're returning, you're going to do it here with us. And it's one of those things where, I feel like Edge is a smart enough guy that he would have seen, what happened with Angle, maybe kind of what happened with Sting, with some of these guys who took time off and then, came back into the spotlight. If you got to kind of look at that and know, like, if I sign with AEW, they're gonna position me as like one of the top. I mean, Edge would be up there with like with like Jericho and Moxley and Omega and the Young Bucks and Cody and those kind of guys. Like, as he'd be like one of the top stars there for sure, especially name value wise. And to give that up to come back to the WWE, I feel like you would have to be negotiating in like,
creative control. Yeah.
some sort of creative control, or like it's already been mapped out. Like, I'll work with Orton, I'll work with Brock, I'll work with Roman, I'll work, the top guys kind of thing.
There's plans in place.
Yeah, you would hope, because otherwise you would hope so, because AEW, he would have been like he would have been a great fit in AEW. Like, it would have been a big get for them, and it would have been really big for his career, I think, to show back up and have it happen in AEW. So to give that up, I think we would have to give it up for a really good reason.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens going forward with that. JGZ says that Kurt Angle, Jason Jordan's story was horrible. Yeah, it was. I was there live when they announced it was Jordan as his son. That happened in Nashville when the reveal happened. And I was sitting there in the crowd, and like, even then live, everyone was just looking at each other like, wait, what? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
It was terrible. Well, because at first he's like teasing who it could be, and everyone in my section is like, Gable. Oh, it's got to be Chad Gable. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be Chad. Like, this makes total sense. Like, Gable, former Olympic wrestler, like, kind of looks like Kurt, kind of acts like Kurt.
Yeah.
Total sense. And then a African American. I mean, I know Kurt he's got history with some African American women. I know you know what I mean. So it's like, well, he would have a black kid. It's totally possible. But I guess my point is, like, this guy didn't, like, there's nothing about Jason Jordan that, like, reminded me of Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Chad Gable was like this carbon copy in a lot of ways of what Kurt Angle was.
Olympian and all that.
Yeah, and like similar moveset and everything. It's like, it would have made total sense. And then Jason Jordan came out, everyone was like, oh, wait, really? Okay, let's see where this goes.
Great work.
And then it wasn't anyone's fault what happened to him,
oh my gosh.
basically never returning, which that's unfortunate. I feel really bad for Jason when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Like, it was so random and so stupid, and everybody knew it wasn't his kid. Like, like, everyone would have known Chad Gable wasn't his kid either. Like, everyone would have known, but it would have been like a little more believable, I feel like, than Jason Jordan.
Because he's like the Olympian thing and the amateur wrestling beginning, and just it seemed to make much more sense.
Yeah. So who knows? But I do.
Now he's shorty key.
I'll never forget Kurt Angle stalking. Who was it? It was Booker T's wife, Charmel, on
oh my gosh,
programming.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he said he was gonna have bestiality sex with her. I'm pretty sure he said that on WWE TV. I'm almost positive he said that. So Kurt sends us. Oh, and I remember he was with that woman in Impact. She was like swole. Oh man, she didn't last for very long. It was like Shaka Khan or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
So it's possible, like, Jason Jordan might, maybe, but,
I mean, you never know.
You never know.
Don't judge.
But, no, of course not. Of course not.
Of course.
Judge. Love whoever you want to love. Don't care.
Right? I don't care.
Speaking of love, we got to see a husband and wife reunited on screen last night.
Yes.
We had the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, retaining the Raw Tag Team Championships over Angel Garza and Austin Theory, who has Zelina Vega in their corner. I was incorrect on this pick. I went for kind of the shock pick of Garza and Theory, but I was incorrect. You took the Street Profits, I believe, so you were right with this one. What do you think about this match, and what do you think about Bianca Belair showing up and helping the Street Profits in the attack after the match?
That honestly made it so good. I love Zelina Vega too, so I really hope this starts like Zelina Vega's return to like actually in-ring wrestling, kind of seemed like it, or like maybe like a mixed match. I know someone in the chat had said that they should bring like a mixed match champion. Wait, am I saying that mixed tag championship?
Oh, mixed match challenge.
Yeah, not bring that back. Maybe they will, but like a championship or something. I don't know about the whole championship thing, but it does kind of seem like between like Otis and Mandy and Dolph and uh, Sonya and now Zelina and Garza in theory, or Zelina and Andrade and Bianca and the Street Profits. It does kind of seem like they're heading towards that way. And Bobby Lashley and Lana, if you really want to think about it like that, with Liv Morgan and Rusev, you could do something like that. But anyways, regardless, I thought this was a really fun match. Um, really dynamic. I also love Zelina Vega's like ringside demeanor. She just has such an expressive, emotional face, and she really does add so much oomph to the match and makes it kind of like a Paul Heyman. You feel the pressure. Um, I think that it was fun. Austin Theory did a great job. I think given the circumstances, it was kind of cool to see Austin Theory, who came from Evolve and like showed up at a takeover in the crowd and no one knew who he was, and I felt so bad for him. That was like the worst in crowd shot I've ever seen. Just like no one cared. To see him kind of come and just be on WrestleMania, and even though he took an L, it was still a fun match. I thought it was great. And then Bianca Belair came out, and we all freaked out. My husband loves Bianca Belair. That's his favorite women's wrestler. So we were really, really excited. And just how they held her up. And I love that picture of her being held up by the Street Profits. I thought that was such a powerful shot, and I love it. So what did you think of it?
I thought it was a solid match. I mean, it only went 6 minutes and 20 seconds, so there.
Shouldn't need it to only go that after that long
Oh, sure,
Orton.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't really have much of a problem with it. The finish, it made sense. Theory hit. I looked away. I think I heard the commentary call it a TKO, so I don't know if he did like the swinging diamond cutter, basically, like the F5. But I think Austin Theory is incredibly talented, especially for his age. So I want to see more of him. And there's actually a fantastic documentary on him that Vice did a year or so ago. That it went along with. They did the Dark Side of the Ring last year. Then they also did a series called, I think it was just called The Wrestlers, and they followed around some different people. Like there was like an episode on MVP talking about people who had made it at the top and now were like trying to get back in. There was one on independent wrestling, and that was the one where they highlighted Austin Theory, they highlighted Darby Allin. They talk, so it's really, really good, and you really get a feel for how incredible Austin Theory is. And he was only like 19 or so when they did that documentary. So I highly recommend that to anybody who might be unfamiliar with Austin Theory. He's got a ton of potential, and he's already very, very talented. I think the biggest star in this whole thing, though, is like Montez Ford. Like he's gonna be
A star.
a big
Such a
single
star.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. It's not a dig on Angela Dawkins. He just doesn't have
No.
that kind of skill set that Montez does.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed by Angel Garza. Really.
Yeah.
I think he has a great look. I was a fan of his. I think it was his dad, Hector Garza. I know him and Humberto Carrillo, however you say it.
Beto Carrillo. I don't know.
And I was a fan of Hector Garza back in WCW and Impact Wrestling back in the day. He was in the Cruiserweight division, the X division. And he had one of the best moonsaults I've ever seen in my life. So to see Humberto and Angel Garza using moonsaults and both doing it justice, they have very nice moonsaults. I like and also Zelina, you mentioned. I think
Yeah.
she's a fantastic manager, and she's great in the ring also. Like, she's an overall incredibly talented performer who's actually underutilized, in my opinion. I think they should build a whole group around her. It's kind of how they have. Doesn't need to be like exclusively Latino. Like, it'd be kind of cool to see a new like LWO type thing. But I'm also cool with like Austin Theory being a part of this. I think he the group stylistically. But I'd have Zelina managing this group of like up and coming talent, and then I would also have her more involved in the women's wrestling side of it. Maybe get her, the Raw Women's Championship or something like that.
Yeah.
Be like a super group. A lot of talent in that group.
Yes.
I don't want to miss this, but Rombo Sports Reporter sent us another super chat.
Thank you so much.
So much.
Thank you.
It says, let's be real, 2005, 2009, WWE was the best years.
I was not watching then.
Oh, I was about to say, I'll let you answer that one first, but if you weren't watching, I can take this one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ronbo, for the super chat.
Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Those were good years. Not the best years in my opinion. I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think that, definitely the most fun I had watching wrestling back in the day, and this has to do with my age as well, was the late 90s, kind of the Attitude Era. And I was a huge WCW fan, so I really got into wrestling. It's ironic because I got into wrestling, like hardcore into it, during what's now considered one of the worst wrestling storylines ever, which was Hulk Hogan versus the Dungeon of Doom. Kevin Sullivan was the Taskmaster, and he led this group of basically. Now when you look back, it's basically just seeing it's like the island of misfit toys. It's like all these wrestlers who the WWF had gotten rid of that were resurfacing in WCW, and Kevin Sullivan was their leader. And I got really, really hooked in around the time that the Giant debuted in that group, who's now, of course, known as the Big Show. So it was one of these things where, I saw wrestling, and I knew about it a little bit because, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and, Slim Jim commercials and that kind of stuff. He was probably doing it.
Yeah.
But it was one of these things where, the Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan, I thought was just the most... I thought, how people look at Ric Flair now as, the best heel of all time. That's how I thought Kevin Sullivan was when I first started watching wrestling. I was like, this guy is the biggest villain I've ever seen in my life. And he was highlighted a lot during the Benoit, or the guy who should be named, documentary on Vice, because obviously he booked himself out of his own marriage by putting him with Nancy, which is just crazy. But anyway, that's what got me drawn into wrestling. This was in 1994, give or take. So then when 1996 hit and I had AOL dial-up internet, I was already finding dirt sheets. The only thing I would do on the internet when the internet first became available to me was I was just finding wrestling stuff. I was like, there's this whole world of wrestling fans that I didn't have any friends that were watching it, so start doing that. And then when the NWO happened, the first version, when Hogan dropped the leg on Savage during Bash at the Beach 1996, that's when it really blew up for me. So, from 96 to 2002 or so, I would say, though, that's probably for me as a fan, that was probably the most fun I've ever had watching wrestling. It was from about 96 to about 2002. And that goes from WCW's big boom period all the way through the WWF Attitude Era, and then kind of the beginning of, I'd say probably right around the time that Brock really started blowing up was around the time that the new era kind of started, kind of that ruthless aggression type era started. Mm-hmm. Now, from 2003 to 2000, I don't know what year, I'd have to really look at it, but that ruthless aggression era was actually really, really good in a lot of ways. But that's more in hindsight for me. When I was watching it, I was still man, I missed the days of this other stuff. When I look back on it now, though, I'm like, there was a lot of talent during the ruthless aggression era. I hated Evolution when it was happening at the time, but when you look back on it now, they were a great group. So it's hindsight's kind of 20/20 when it comes to that. But that's just my personal opinions on the kind of that time frame. The mid to late 90s, I think, were the best. The ruthless aggression era was pretty good. Whatever you'd call between the PG era, I guess maybe, that's been kind of the worst, right? From PG until recently, I think has been kind of the worst that we've seen. So, just my opinion on all that. I know it's a long way of answering that question, but give you a full spectrum of where my mind is on all that. And thank you once again. That was sent. Jeez, my computer's lagging. Thank you once again. That was Ronbo Sports Reporter with another super chat. So thank you.
Thank you.
John Rubino says 96-2005 was best with friends. Yeah, for sure. holy crap, that SL was amazing. I think what Diego means is that storyline was.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I don't know if you're talking about the Dungeon of Doom storyline or the NWO storyline, but both were amazing as far as I'm concerned. All right, moving on. We have the Fatal 5-Way Elimination match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bayley retained her title by defeating Lacey Evans, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Tamina. This match went 19 minutes and 20 seconds. Yeah, what were your thoughts? I think we both had Sasha winning.
Yeah. All right, I said Lacey Evans. I think I did. I think I was like going crazy. And I said, and when she was like the last one, I was like, oh my god, what if I'm right? Because I was just kind of like goofing. I thought it was fine. I was really shocked that Sasha got eliminated, and I was really, 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 really glad that Sasha didn't turn for like the 7,000th time. I really thought that was really great how they did that, because we all know, if you watch, we all know that Sasha always turns on Bayley, always betrays her, is always that friend in the friendship. And for her to actually like get eliminated, go in there and help Bayley win the title, retain her title, I thought it was amazing. And for her to just kind of like go back and just like leave and let Bayley kind of do her thing adds that tension that can further the storyline even more. There was like that little reunion in the middle that lasted about 1 second.
Team Bad.
Yeah, unity. And then it was like kick. Bye. And then they all collectively had to pin Tamina to get her eliminated. I thought that was cool. Lacey Evans being the last one was like, what? But I think it was good. It honestly didn't feel like it was that long of a match. It felt a lot shorter to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. It did feel shorter. I thought it was good. I mean, the storytelling was there. I think that they did a pretty good job swerving myself as well as probably everybody as far as the way that the finish went down, because I figured it'd come down to Bayley and Sasha, and then Sasha would beat her, and it'd be kind of like her big, like kind of WrestleMania moment. She wins the title. She doesn't have to be Bayley's kind of lackey anymore and stuff like that. But we kind of got the exact opposite, which I can appreciate. Like I like when I'm surprised by stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was also surprised by Lacey Evans' performance. I don't dislike Lacey. She just always seemed a bit green to me. Like especially when she was in the title mix before, she just didn't seem really ready for the spot. But she has a lot of potential, and I think she looked really good in this match. Once Sasha was eliminated, I was going full on for Lacey to win. Like I really wanted her to get the win, and a lot of that is a compliment to her, because she herself, writing and storylines and all that stuff aside, she did a really good job in her performance of making me believe that she was going to become the champion. Like her performance was very solid.
I believe that it took Sasha Banks being sneaky to get that win.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely didn't see Sasha coming back in to help Bayley. Definitely didn't.
No.
So I think that this match did everything that it needed to accomplish. I'm not huge on Bayley like keeping the title, because I'm just not. I don't really care one way or another if she's the champion at the moment. I'd like to see something new. Whether it be Lacey or a feud between Sasha and Bayley for the belt, I don't know. But I will say this: I was pleasantly surprised. The match exceeded my expectations of it. And I'll also say this: it was probably the best I've ever seen Tamina wrestle. Historically, I'm not a big fan of hers. And I think that she played her role very, very, very well in the 5-way match last night. And Naomi looked good the time that she was in.
Mm-hmm.
What else can you really say? It was in my opinion, it over-delivered. So
yeah.
Oh, John Rubino said, "Don't forget about the 24/7 title change, please." Okay, we'll talk about that. Sure. Mojo won it from.
No, Gronk.
Well, Mojo won it first from R-Truth.
Yes, that's right.
And it was funny because when Gronk won it from Mojo, the commentary, they didn't edit it correctly. So, like, you hear Michael, I think it was Michael Cole, he's like, Mojo just won the title earlier tonight from R-Truth. But what he didn't account for was that it would be 2 nights. So, it didn't happen earlier that night. It happened the day before. But yeah, Gronk is the 24/7 champion. Do you have any thoughts on his trust fall coffin drop that he had?
Yeah, I do. And just really quick, my husband has to go get our brakes fixed on our car, so my daughter's sitting right next to me with her iPad on. So if you hear that, that's just her iPad. I'm gonna try and do my best to like mute me in and out so you don't hear that. But she's up here eating goldfish and just having fun, aren't you?
Nice.
I thought it was hilarious. I mean, obviously with Gronk being the host, I was like, he's gonna win the 24/7 championship. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was pretty good, actually. I thought it was really fun. Hey. And
Said no.
and but I think that it was great. And then I love how Titus O'Neil took. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But how Titus O'Neil had to take over for him. And I think here's my thing. With Gronk having the 24/7 title, and with Fox Sports, when they decided to have Cletus, the Fox Sports robot, be in the draft room, I feel like Cletus, the Fox Sports robot, should win the 24/7 championship from Gronk because he's been scouting him. He played for the Patriots. He was a tight end for the Patriots. I mean, Cletus has been on those sidelines watching him, knows his every move, knows his routes. Like, come on, guys. Like, he knows how to juke him. Like,
well, I don't even know that it had a name. So the actual that on the graphics is named Cletus.
I believe it's Cletus. I think it is. I am a Cletus stan. I love that dang robot. He's so cool. I loved how he was in the war room for the draft. That was great. That to me would be some great multi-dimensional, multi-sport continuity that I'm living for.
Well, I think that'd be pretty nuts if the NFL robot graphic won the 24/7 title. But I could see it happening. I could totally see it happening.
Yes, I want it to happen.
John asks, do you think Gronk was a waste overall? Didn't seem to do much. I guess. I mean, yeah, he really didn't seem to do much. You're right about.
Do hosts ever do much though?
Right. Yeah, I remember like when Hulk Hogan hosted WrestleMania, like he literally came out and was like, "It's WrestleMania time, brother! Right here in the Silver Dome," when we were all at the Superdome.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't seen on the rest of the show. So.
And then like Alexa Bliss was last year, and she did the snap, and then Hulk Hogan came out. That was about it. And then New Day. I thought New Day were the best hosts for 33
Definitely.
because they had the Hardys thing.
Yeah,
they were great hosts. They were fantastic hosts. I think they were the best hosts of WrestleMania. But I feel like given the circumstances, usually the host is there to like play to the crowd, which was none. Right. So like, it was fine. It was fine.
Well, there was also when The Rock did it, he
that's right, with the fire.
Win the title, which was interesting.
Did he like bury the Wyatts?
Oh, he did that also later on. So the one in the WrestleMania 27,
Dallas.
He hosted, and then he came back and pinned Eric Rowan in like one move. He like rock bottomed him, and like that was it. That was 2 years later. I don't. Diego Beltran says Gronk's not that entertaining. Maybe he was just nervous, but I think he was just kind of not that interesting. Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, and I'm an NFL fan. Like, I'm a lifelong diehard fan of the Minnesota Vikings. I've played
Skull.
Skull, yes. I've been playing fantasy football for the last, like, 12, 13 seasons, whatever it is. Like, I'm very much aware of
Were you in the Fightful one?
No, I just do a league with my buddies from high school.
I do DraftKings.
Nice. Shout out DraftKings.
Yes, I won some money this year. Or last year.
So, I mean, this would have been a much bigger deal if this would have happened like during Gronk's playing career.
I
Is
just saw
now.
something.
And he looks much different too. Like when he was in the NFL, he was swole. He's clearly off of
Yeah,
he was on.
dude, I just thought of something. How cool would it have been? I'm getting chills thinking about this. Even though I hate the Patriots, Tom Brady just signed with Tampa Bay. My daughter's so happy about it. She's singing. That would have been cool if there would have been like a tie-in Gronk in Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. Like that could have happened.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
When he first said that, I was like, you know what they could have done? Aaron Hernandez. Oh wait, yeah. Um, for anyone who hasn't seen that documentary on Netflix,
That's
I highly recommend checking that out.
fascinating. Yes.
Did anyone else? This might sound a little controversial to ask this, but I think it's worth asking. For anybody who's seen the Aaron Hernandez documentary that we're talking about, a lot of it was centered around him possibly being gay or bisexual, right? And a lot of it was like his friend that was like on the football team with him was like, I was just like he's like, I was a very small part of this guy's sexual history. Like this guy was like totally into dudes and stuff. Did anyone else kind of get those vibes from the Benoit Guerrero thing?
Yes. Yes, and I talked about that with one of my friends, but yeah, I did get that. I don't think we should probably talk about that
Well,
here.
I don't. Well, when I don't mean that, I'm not.
Yeah.
This isn't like a. This isn't.
No, I know.
Bad way.
Yeah.
I literally like when I was watching it, like they seemed like closer than just like friends. Like it was like the pictures of them together, and pictures like that with my buddies. Like we're all together and close, and so like it's not nothing really weird about it. It's just kind of one of those things where the way he took his death was like he had just lost like.
They weren't just
Heart,
friends,
you know?
they were soulmates. And that's
Yeah.
not in a weird like relation. They were soulmates. They literally had a soulmate relationship, and he was heartbroken. And I think that that's definitely something to talk about.
Yeah. It was interesting. Like
It's so interesting. There's so much we could talk about. We could do a whole episode on that whole thing.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things too. Like I mean, there's literally nothing wrong with like if you're gay or bi or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like it's
Me either.
totally fine. But it's one of those things where I'd never really thought of it like that until I saw that documentary, and I was like, I wonder if they were closer than we realized. Just by the way everyone was talking about it was like you would act if you lost your wife or something. You know, it was
Yeah.
really
They were soulmates.
yeah. So
You believe that?
yeah, that was Vice has been killing it. They do.
Oh, they are awesome.
stuff.
They are doing such that. The guy who directs that, he also directed one of my favorite like horror movies of all time, or was one of the directors of VHS 2, which is one of the best like found footage films ever to me. So it's really good. So I highly, highly, highly recommend VHS 2 if you're into like really crazy found footage horror films. He did the there's one about aliens. That's all I'll say. He did that one. So
Nice.
yes, it's really, really good. I love it. Oh, so good.
Diego Beltran says, I think he took Eddie's death to heart and he never recovered. Never. And that's heartbreaking. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that happens to everybody. Like, whatever your sexual orientation is, whatever. Like, there are people, like, that you're going to be really close to, whether it's friends, family members, anyone you have, like, a close relationship with. You always have the chance where, like, you just never get over it and you take it really, really, really hard. And I totally understand that. I've lost people like my mother and grandmother and stuff, like very close to me. I get the feeling of like no matter what happens, there is still a part of you that that thinks about it and that's hurt by everything. So like I totally feel for that situation, but
Gosh, yeah, you've been through a lot.
so it's just one of those things where like I can understand Chris, whether he had whatever his relationship was with Eddie Guerrero, like I think you're right, Diego. I think he took it incredibly hard, and there was nothing anyone could do about how hard he took it, and he couldn't get over it. And that's not a dig on anybody. Like
No,
it's a lot easier said than done to just get over something like that. I totally get it.
It's something you have to be able to learn to process. Definitely.
Right. So, that said, we'll move on.
Yeah.
We'll talk about something that everybody
Yes.
talking about. So it's time to talk about the Firefly Funhouse match. If you have thoughts, feelings,
Let us
anything
know.
about this, let us know. I'll mention it again. If you super chat, we will prioritize that just like we have the rest of the show. Any super chats that have come in, we've jumped on those questions and really dug as deep as we can. And if you don't mind dropping my PayPal link in the chat one more time,
Yes.
for anybody who might have missed it. We have been getting requests from people outside of the United States. There's certain countries that the super chats don't work. So if you send that PayPal link that Jessi just put on there, then we'll make sure to still treat it like a super chat. You just won't see on the screen about it. Corey Williams, thank you so much for another super chat. You rule. You've been
Yes, thank you,
incredibly
Corey.
supportive. Jessi, why don't you take this one?
Okay. I love this. I've been playing this. We were talking about this before we came on live. When Bray sang, "You can look, but you can't touch," I popped so loud. Props to Cena for being able to make fun of himself. Totally agree. That was so funny. Brian Alvarez actually was like, I absolutely hated this. He's like, that saved it for me when he sang. Oh, my daughter was singing it.
Is she singing it?
Yeah. Hey, hey, can you sing, "You can look, but you can't touch"? Do it. Do it. No, she's shy now. But, that was so funny. I thought that was great because it was, that whole thing was kind of a like, you know what it was? It was, remember when Alexa Bliss did the "This Is Your Life" to Bayley? It was like that, but a gajillion, zillion, infinity times better. Like, it was so good, and that was just part of it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Corey, thanks again for the super chat, man.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
I loved all. Same with Diego, kind of piggybacking off of this, like all the little Easter egg symbolism and all that. That's what this match was all about. Like, that's what made this so memorable. I mentioned it towards the beginning of the podcast today, but just to watch that evolution of Cena's character play out like in the Funhouse was a lot of fun. And the there's something else I was going to mention about that too. Now it's escaped me, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and we'll see where it goes next. Like, it was cool to see Cena be able to make fun of himself. Oh, now I remember what I was going to say. And it was interesting to see, like, basically at the end of that match, it was essentially revealed that everything that John Cena had said during his promo about Bray Wyatt, he was actually saying about his self and his own career. And Bray Wyatt at the end hit that Sister Abigail and that mandible claw, and he was like,
He was holding him, and it was like John Cena going through what he said. Oh gosh, that was so cool.
right, basically saying he's like the most overprivileged, underqualified, whatever he said about him. He needs to end the most overprivileged, didn't deserve it, superstar in history or whatever he said. And at the end of the day, you find out, wow, Cena was actually cutting that promo on himself based on, decisions that didn't go through, like him turning heel and being a part of the NWO, which I thought was hilarious.
That was so funny.
All that stuff is just really, really, really well done, in my opinion. Really well done.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, at first, because I had just, we had just come off that Boneyard match. So at first I was like expecting more wrestling, and I was like, what is happening? What is happening? I am tripping on acid. What is going on? I'll get you a blanket in a second, okay? It was just so weird and bizarre, but then I loved it. I loved it. As soon as I was like, all right, this is not going to be the Boneyard match. This is not going to be that. This is something completely different. This is going to be a different experience. I was totally into it. I just loved it. I loved all the Easter eggs. You can tell they put a lot of thought into this, and you can tell that Cena and Bray Wyatt had a lot of input. It wasn't just Bray. There was Cena. Cena is a goof. Cena's a goof and a half. He's a little weird. Cena's a little weird. People don't know that. Cena's a little freaky. But I think that this was really cool when he was like Kurt Angle and stuff. Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Yeah, yeah. Diego also mentioned something worth talking about. He says Bray being able to snap into his Eater of Worlds gimmick so effortlessly. I think Bray is a generational talent, legitimately one of the absolute best characters. Yeah, the Eater of Worlds. My favorite version of Bray Wyatt is still his original, not Husky Harris, but his original Bray Wyatt, like kind of like when he debuted, when he was like kind of the backwoods cult leader type guy with the Hawaiian t-shirts and like the straw hat and the rocking chair and all that, living kind of like at his compound. Where when you saw those old vignettes of like Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, and like Eric Rowan wearing the sheet mask was like totally, it was like scary, you know, it was like so bizarre, and Harper not talking and his crazy eyes, and that was my favorite version of Bray Wyatt, was like the Hawaiian shirt, kind of backwoods cult leader type guy. So it was really, really cool to see that character back during the match. And I also think that John Cena deserves a lot of credit, like we've been saying, for because like part of what this shows me too is like, man, what have we missed out on in all these years? Like John Cena, for all those years that he was getting booed by people for being too vanilla and stale, like, I wonder if he had these kind of awesome ideas this whole time. He was never green-lighted to do them because WWE had such a specific idea of what he should have been on screen. You know, imagine how cool Cena would have been to everybody if he was doing stuff like this his whole career.
Right? Like I think I agree. There's a lot to be said about that. Oh, and I see Diego in the chat. Bray being able to snap back to his Eater of Worlds gimmick so effortlessly. I think Bray Wyatt is a generation. Legitimately one of the absolute best characters. Absolutely. If you watch that FCW documentary, they are all like, Bray Wyatt was like the show stealer. But I think you're right. I think John Cena, like if you like, I posted John Cena's Instagram and how like weird it's been. I mean, he's always had like a really weird Instagram, and to me, it kind of like after watching that match and after like scrolling through his Instagram, like as a whole, I was like, John Cena is like a living freaky meme. Like
Right.
the dude is weird, and the dude was, you could tell how into this he was, and I feel like this was like the perfect merger of these two people that have these like, I mean, Bray Wyatt is obviously, you know, super talented, super freaky in the best way possible. John Cena has always just been seen as like the jock prep guy, never give up, you know, make a wish guy, and for him to like go to this, and it's, you're right, it's like, what have we been missing? What more is there to see? It like makes me want to see more John Cena, because this is a side to him I've never seen in WWE.
Right.
So it was just great.
Yeah. Great stuff. If you had to choose, what was better, Firefly Funhouse or Boneyard match?
They were both kind of unique. I think if you wanted a wrestling match, Boneyard match was absolutely phenomenally better. But as far as like a cinematic thing, I would say I really liked, and like, you know, like we said before, I think if you're looking at just like a whole, as a wrestling fan, if you've been watching for a really long time, this is kind of like rewarding to you. I feel like that was really cool. So I feel like this was a better production, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like, because like the way that I look at it is, I was more personally entertained by the Firefly Funhouse because of going back through Cena's history and Wyatt's history and the story that was told during that. But I think that the Boneyard match accomplished more to like to give like Undertaker's career more longevity. I think it was important for him to do something like that, so that he didn't become a total parody of himself, which is something he said himself he's afraid of becoming. And that was a bummer too. I watched the first look Undertaker series that's coming.
Yeah, I was right at the end of WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, and I thought that I was watching the documentary, so like I was getting really into it. Then it's like this season on the Undertaker. I was like, oh no! Like I was like so invested in sitting in front of my TV for the next however long this thing was going to be. I was going to watch the whole thing after WrestleMania. But that's going to be fantastic. But he mentions during that, like, he's afraid of becoming a parody of himself, and I think the Boneyard match is going to allow him to not become that, because if he keeps having matches like that, that can protect his character, protect him not having to do stuff in the ring, get injured every year, and have to rehab all year just to wrestle a couple matches. It's all good things. So personally, I was more entertained by the I was more entertained by the Firefly Funhouse, but I think that the Boneyard match accomplished more. Undertaker, it helps him out so much.
Yes, I completely agree. And there's a thing I've always said to really evolve as like a person, and I guess it's like a wrestling character. I guess I don't know. I'm not a wrestler, so I can't really say. But you have to embrace the meme. Embracing the meme, becoming self-aware of your meme ability. sounds like I'm like a professor of memes. But like to become self-aware is to be able to be open to change and becoming a better person. And I think that they're embracing the meme. I think Undertaker embraced the meme. Asia was like, don't bury me. But that's like the whole thing. Bray Wyatt and John Cena fully embraced the meme. They were living memes. And it just really, it was almost like the beginning of a new chapter in these so-called legends, because for so many WrestleManias now, it feels like we watch these matches with these old timers, getting over on the younger talent and stuff like that. I mean, Bray Wyatt won, but you kind of go, man, the spotlight should have been saved for, like I don't know, EC3. I'm just trying to think of like, other people like a Zack Ryder. I don't know, just like people who weren't on the card that we didn't see. Or like a Sami Zayn or a Shinsuke. But to me, this was actually really good, and I didn't see anyone making that argument. I didn't see anyone making that argument this time, because it was so well done, and it was it wasn't the same old. It was different, it was new, and I think if you give us something different and new, we're not going to complain.
Right. I couldn't have said it better myself. I do see something in the chat. Corey Williams said, anyone else hear the echo? That happened again. It happened yesterday too, like after like a while of being on stream. I have no idea if is the echo coming just off of Jesse or off of me or off of both of us. Someone can let us know in the chat. I'll do my best to try to fix that. There's not a lot I can do, but I'll try. All Elite feed. I don't know if that's Justin or Doug on the account right now, but thank you, Doug and or Justin, for the comment here. It says, Firefly Funhouse was very bizarre and different, but I was very intrigued and liked it. Much like the Graveyard match, theme in the Boneyard match, but you know what you mean. It needs to be kept a rarity and only take place with the right characters. Yeah, totally agree. I mean, it has to be done the right way. You don't want to overdo it. But like I was saying at the beginning of the show, I think they can replace a lot of those like 20, 30-minute, long scripted monologues they do on the show with things like this instead, and it would help out tremendously with getting characters over, and especially people like I mentioned Roman Reigns at the beginning. Like if Roman Reigns wasn't out there doing scripted promos that was basically making the whole crowd turn on him, if you did something that was like heavily produced in the way of a Boneyard match or a Firefly Funhouse, you can maybe do that for 20 minutes or a half hour and develop his character that way instead of scripted promos. Maybe we see more stuff like that. It says
it's just me.
Just Jesse.
Oh, I hear it now too.
I wonder if, let me switch something real quick. So just a heads up, everyone, she might be muted right now, or it might fix things, or it might not do anything. But we're just gonna test it real quick.
I'm just gonna keep talking. I'm just gonna keep talking. Let me know if the echo goes away. La 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 la. Trying not to get DMCA'd, so I'm not gonna sing any songs. Okay. We are in the Firefly Funhouse now, I guess. I don't know, I can kind of sort of hear myself. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I have YouTube open, but let me I'm muted, so here. I'm not muted on my call. I don't really hear myself anymore. It's on mute, yes. People like the echo, so let's do it. Uh-oh. It's just me?
So I had to fix that. All right. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know what's causing the echo.
La la la. La la la. No more echo.
Let us
La, la,
know.
la, la.
Oh wait, no more echo. But is it
Can
no
you
more echo?
hear? Can you
You
hear
should
the
be able to hear
movement?
me also now.
Can you?
Yeah.
Can you? Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, no more echo, but if I talk muted. Yeah. Well, I'm not. I shouldn't be muted anymore. But I don't know if that means that Jessi is still echoing or not.
It says no more echo. Okay. Let me look at your pizzazz.
While we're trying to fix that, Zay Simmons, I've seen you mention this a couple times.
Oh, he's back. You're back. You're back. You're back. You're back.
Awesome.
Yay. Okay. Continue.
Now Echo is back. So I'm
Ah!
Echo's back. I wonder.
You need a mic.
Might be muted, but I'm gonna try this. Is this working right? Go ahead and talk, Jessi. Is it working now where you can hear both of us with no echo? Or do you hear nothing? If you hear nothing, you're not going to be able to even answer my question.
Oh, I hear me. Yeah, I hear my echo a little bit. Wait, it went away. Okay, well, you know what? Let's just try and get you turn down my volume. Oh, I just moved the microphone away, so
John Rubino, troubleshooting 101, baby, reminds me of being back at work. Yeah, I know. A lot of this stuff is just troubleshooting. Especially because, like, I'm running the whole thing off of, like, OBS and stuff on my computer, so it's like, there's only so much I can, like, don't hear. It says doesn't hear Jess. Yeah, so I'll turn that back on.
we're just gonna have to deal with a. Oh, it says perfect. Okay.
Oh, wait. Okay, so, like, try, like, right now. Hopefully we're good.
No echo now. Okay.
Can you hear both of us? Can you type in the? Can you ask in the chat? Can you type that? Can you hear both of us? Just in case I am muted.
Hear us.
Corey, you're not messing up the program. This makes it better for everybody that there is.
We need to no. Okay, we're off. Oh, thank you. Anyway, okay, I think we're back because.
I hope so. There's a little bit of a lag too, so you know, there's. It's just hard. It's hard to. It's just hard to know for sure. I can actually. There might be a little bit of an echo because I'm gonna check on my phone real quick, and then of course we'll you here's me.
I can hear you. I can hear everything. I'm good. I hear fight. Okay, so I hear y'all.
And
Hear me up.
there might be a little bit of an echo. It says both good from John. I think okay, we're both good now with no echo. Thank you very much, John. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And this didn't interrupt. This helps make us better. It makes this more tolerable to watch, so we appreciate it.
Well, and I can have it set up like this going forward, so there's no echo again. So like now I know what settings to switch to. So I think we're good. Thank you very much for the feedback. That's much appreciated. Zay Simmons. Okay, I'm gonna finally get to this. I've cheated like 6 times now. Did anyone else notice Sister Abigail in the chair for 3 seconds during the Firefly Funhouse match? Yes.
No, I didn't.
Okay, I saw it. It was like really quick, but yeah, I did notice that.
Look this up. Hold on. Unless you know where it is.
I wouldn't be able to do like if I pulled it up on here, we could get
Yeah.
unless I can find a picture of it.
Anyone else? Hold on, I can't.
Let's see.
I see it. Okay, I found it. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna get this photo up in Photoshop right now. And try and like up the brightness and everything. So let's keep talking.
Word.
That's
Yeah, just
crazy.
let me know. Awesome.
My computer's like hella lagging though.
Before we get into the main event, and while Jesse's getting that set up, if anyone in the chat wants to give any further thoughts on the Firefly Funhouse match or anything that we've talked about up to this point, feel free to let us know in the chat right now. And also, if you want to start rolling in thoughts about Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar, or if you have any super chats where you have any questions or statements that you want read 100%, right here on the show, and get our thoughts on your specific questions about Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar, now's a good time to do that while we're trying to get pulled up. So we'll see if any of that. Oh, and let's get that pulled up. Let me know when it's. Are you going to show it on your screen?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and up the expo. She's got blonde hair.
Is it Liv Morgan? I'm kidding.
I'm not talking about you. My daughter goes, "Are you talking about me?"
She has blonde hair.
I'm upping the brightness. I'm gonna lower this. I'm gonna up the white. I'm gonna.
Cora Williams says it was weird when Cena was doing curls. I was like, "Don't pull a muscle." Yeah, that was true. I liked how they basically paralleled John Cena's career with Hulk Hogan's. Like they ran like the old like Saturday Night's Main Event thing where he was doing the curls, and looking like Hulk Hogan would have looked back in the day. He even dropped a line about the cream rising to the top, which is a Randy Savage line. I like that. I obviously liked the it's such good SHIT pal or whatever.
At this point, we're long gone from having work. I mean, my daughter can't hear you, so you're good.
Oh, okay. Well, so yeah, it was such good shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
But yeah, I thought that was amazing from the Visit Man.
I think I have your phone number. I'm gonna text it to you.
Well, can you send it in the Skype chat? Is that possible? Because I can just.
My AirDrop isn't working, so I'm gonna.
Where did you find the picture at?
On Twitter. I just texted it to you.
I'm not gonna be able to pull
it
up.
On here. I'll post it. Once you do that, I'm gonna post it.
I can probably just show it right on the screen then. It's gonna look kind of weird. So that is what Sister Abigail was looking like. So interesting, very interesting.
That was cool. Maybe they just had her as a placeholder, but
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they actually do anything with that going forward, because we've been teased Sister Abigail a whole lot, and obviously like Abby the Witch and all this stuff. Like, so whoops. So we will we'll see where it all goes. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. Jess, if you want to get caught up and address some of these, we'll do. Want to start with like Corey? Or we already talked about that with him doing curls, but like John.
Oh my God, when he's going really fast, yeah. I wish the women had a changing of the guard, so to speak, with all the women's titles doing the opposite. Yeah, we kind of talked about Becky Lynch retaining. That was bizarre to me. I really thought that Shayna was going to win. The changing of the guards, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to give it a little time. I always need a little bit of time after WrestleMania, a couple of Raws and Smackdowns after WrestleMania to kind of get my full decision on what transpired and how my decision on the matches and their decisions on the matches. So this should be interesting as far as NXT is concerned as well. But you're right. I guess the changing of the guards, like why is Charlotte going down, and then Bianca's coming up, and then what's going to happen with Rhea. There's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Honestly, I'm a huge mark for Bray, and I could gush over him forever. It almost feels like this is Diego. I also feel like Xavier Woods helped with the match because he's very psychological. Bray is such a horror nut. Yeah, I also miss Xavier Woods a lot, and I hope he comes back soon. I feel like I'm high after that match. Dude, I was tripping. Legit was too high for that. Could say that due to my sponsor obligations, but I was like, I am too stoned for this. I was like,
Samesies. Yeah, I know that one.
That was our Titus was all of us after, which was so funny. I was laughing so hard because it was.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was like, yeah, he basically, what did he just, the camera panned to him and he just like, what was that?
Like,
Yeah.
it was so funny.
Hey, I guess it's better to be the backup host of WrestleMania than it is to be just like exclusively known for sliding under the ring during the British Royal Rumble. So now we'll talk about that instead of Titus World Slide. Awkward.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And speaking awkward unicorn. Yeah. So I said this earlier. Earlier last night. Titus O'Neil. There was actually because I live near Tampa Bay and I live so close that we get the Tampa Bay news. Titus O'Neil does a lot of really great work for the Tampa Bay area as far as kids and making sure they don't go hungry, and doing a lot of outreach work for kids that live in troubled communities and have a troubled past and are on a potentially dangerous path in the future. And it was really great and wholesome. And I'm really upset that he didn't get to come to WrestleMania in Tampa Bay. There was actually going to be a really big fundraiser for one of his charities at the Tampa Bay Aquarium, at the Florida Aquarium, which didn't happen. So it's super unfortunate. But I just thought it was really nice to get him on the show, even if he was a backup host.
Yeah. And that's one thing about Titus. Like, I've never been a really big fan of him in the ring. I find him to be kind of clunky, robotic, seems kind of green still with a lot of what he does. Like, so I'm not a huge fan of him as a pro wrestler. But one thing that you always hear about him is he's this awesome human being. Like, everybody always praises all the charity work he does, what he does for his communities.
Yeah.
What, you know, he's such a big role model for everybody that, like, whether I'm a fan of him as a wrestler or not, like, I can appreciate the WWE working with a guy who has such a fantastic reputation in so many circles. So I you know, it is nice to see Titus as a part of the show for those reasons. So I'll just never forget him sliding under that ring though, no matter what he does.
That was so funny.
That was so funny. All right, let's move on to the main event of the show. Drew McIntyre defeated Brock Lesnar to become the WWE Champion in 4 minutes and 35 seconds. I'm surprised it was even that long. Basically, the way that I describe these kind of matches to people is if you grew up playing any of these pro wrestling video games and you had the option to start with like 5 finishing moves before the match even started, like preloaded finishers, that's pretty much what these kind of matches are. It's a Brock Lesnar finishing move spam match where it's basically just Germans, F5s, and whatever the finishing move of the other opponent is over and over. Yeah. So I had Brock winning the match. I had Bray Wyatt winning the one prior, so that was, you know, correct there. But this didn't really do much for me, unfortunately. Like, I didn't really think the match was very good. I'm kind of over this whole type of match with Brock, because he's capable of having really good matches, but these kind of things don't really do much for me at this point. And it's nice to see Drew with the title, I guess. Like, I feel happy for him, always overcome and getting let go by the WWE and fighting to get it back into the company, and you know, he's improved dramatically over the years, and it's nice to see him in that spot. But I guess, I don't know. And we're also in such a weird time right now, such an uncertain time with everything, that, like, who knows what this title run's going to look like, especially if there's no fans at these shows. But what did you think about this? Like, what do you think about the match, and what do you think about Drew being... And by the way, I'm going to address also John Rubino. I thought of this as well. Why no Paul Heyman intro? Probably because him getting on the microphone in front of nobody and being like, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman," blah, 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 probably just wouldn't have made sense. Jesse, what were your thoughts on all this stuff? Sweet hair, by the way.
Thanks. I have no makeup on, so I was like, oh, I look kind of weird. Anyways, I was really sad. I was really depressed. I love Brock Lesnar, and I was really sad that he lost, but I really liked that WWE Chronicle on Drew McIntyre. I thought it was really well done. I was, and I even feel like, I don't know, I'm not like the biggest Drew McIntyre stan, so I can't speak for the stans of Drew McIntyre. But I feel like they would have probably been okay with him taking an L here to save that win for in front of a crowd.
Right.
Because like here's one thing I always do when I watch like especially like a big championship match. I always watch like the wrestlers like reactions to the crowd. And Drew McIntyre looks like he was gonna cry, and it was one of those things where like I think he's probably gonna win if he's getting this emotional. So I was just like, I really wish it could have been in front of a crowd. I was really shocked by the result, but I felt like, okay, so when Drew, they both kept like kicking out of each other's finishers, but when Drew kicked out at one of the first was it was the first F5, right? Kicked out at one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, uh-oh. But then it took 4 Claymore kicks, so it was one of those like you said, it was like a finisher match. It was definitely a video game match. I think it would have worked so much better in front of a crowd. Those are those kind of matches you need a crowd because those finisher pieces are made specifically for like a crowd pop. At least in my eyes. And so I was on the edge of my seat the entire time just because I was. But as soon as he kicked out of that F5, I was like, there's no way. I was like, they're gonna have Brock Lesnar kick out of some more Claymore kicks, and eventually he's gonna get the one that's gonna do it. And it took 4, but yeah, I mean it was fine. It felt a lot shorter than 4 minutes, though. It didn't feel like 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's how I felt also. I thought it was like half that length, just quick. But I mean, I guess now that I think about it, I mean, there was some time where Brock was kind of walking around and hit some German suplexes and stuff. So I guess it makes.
How many suplexes? Like 4?
Yeah, probably something like that.
4 or 6?
Yeah, something like that.
Wasn't enough. Yeah, I was upset, but because I like Brock Lesnar, but I was really happy for Drew McIntyre. Apparently, he made history. He's the first ever like Brit champion. Is that true?
That's a good question, and it also would depend on if they're counting, if they're saying like just the WWE title, or if they're counting the world title as well.
No, Finn Balor is a freaking. He was the Universal
Yeah, he was the
champion.
Universal champion, so they must mean like just straight WWE title, because for instance, when Kofi Kingston won the WWE title, and I mean, technically speaking, I think The Rock is like, I mean, I know he's Samoan, but he's also partially African American. So I kind of consider him the first African American WWE champion ever. But if you're going like full on African American, like without like the mix, I guess
Kofi's the first in my heart.
So Kofi would be the first. But of course, like Booker T had won the world title under WWE's umbrella. So so I think they're counting just the lineage of the WWE Championship belt with that kind of stuff. So, but if that's the case, good for Drew McIntyre for making history in that regard.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, it's fine. My daughter's shaking a coin bank right now. There is money in there, honey. There's like 3 coins.
John says, I agree, it would have been better in front of a crowd, but overall good for me to get the W. Yeah, I agree to an extent. It just, like everything else in the WWE, it depends on what they're going to do afterwards. Like if they have a good plan for his title reign, I'm all for it. But if they did this just for him to lose the belt to Brock in a rematch or something, it's not going to do anything for anyone. Corey Williams says Kofi was the first African born. Well, yeah, definitely for that. Yeah. after
WrestleMania.
And now we got Raw after WrestleMania tonight, which will be interesting because normally, because normally this is the show that's based on crowd reactions and surprises and setting up the storylines for the next year. And I don't know if we're gonna get any of that, considering the limitations for travel and having to pre-tape stuff, and who knows what tonight's show is gonna look like. But do you have any like predictions or expectations or any like storylines or any matches or anything that you hope start building tonight at the Raw after Mania?
I want Ronda Rousey to come back, but I don't think they'll do that without a crowd.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
I don't really expect like any call-ups or anything because NXT has like their takeover-esque on Wednesday, right?
I don't know how they're doing it because I think I remember seeing that they were gonna like over the course of a handful of weeks do all those matches. So I don't think it's gonna be like one takeover show. I think we'll get like a couple matches here and there. I mean, they could do a whole takeover show though in the 2 hours they have on the USA Network, or maybe stretch it to like 2.5 hours if they can get the. I'm sure it's not a problem getting the airtime right now for anything that's. Although it isn't live, they kind of present it like it's live.
Let's see I'd like to see what happens with Becky and Shayna. That I'm very, very interested in. I'd really like to see that. Let's see. I think. Okay, who do you think's gonna open the show?
That's a good question. Probably Drew, new champion.
So yeah.
02K says I want to see Bianca versus Zelina Vega. Yeah, that'd probably be really good.
Ooh, I want to see that tomorrow. That would actually be really cool. Or today. What did I say tomorrow? Today. That would actually be really, really good. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because like they taped a lot of this in advance, and because there's a stay-at-home order in the entire state, it'll be really interesting to see how much they've taped, how much they're going to explain. Like, I don't know. I wonder, do you think they'll actually like air some of the WrestleMania matches from last night's night?
Ooh, probably.
I think so, which is going to be really, I would be really upset if I paid like, what was it, $100?
I hope it wasn't $100. I mean, I would hope it was more like 60. Like, it shouldn't have even been that much, but I would guess it was about probably 30 a night. I mean, I just do the $10 a month for the WWE Network. I don't know why anyone else wouldn't just do that instead of pay-per-view, but unless you didn't have the means to get the WWE Network. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. There's a lot of stuff that they can do. I'm hoping we get an idea for what's next for Drew. Like, I am interested to see what his title reign looks like. So we've got that. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some debuts.
My daughter's like, she's got these coins. Like, I got money. We play games. Honey, I can't buy a game.
And yeah, John says, I hope no replay matches tonight. Yeah, I hope so too, especially for those of us who, I mean, probably to fill up time, I would guess they probably will. But yeah, we'll probably see. I bet you we see the Firefly Funhouse match again. They showed that Boneyard match on the network like a bunch of times in between the two WrestleManias on the network. It was $59.99 for both nights, or $39.99 for each. So you had a $10 discount if you bundled the two. Awkward Unicorn says JIP Jip. Is that your nickname or something? Jip.
Me?
Yeah, no. I don't know. It says Jip Defies. I don't know what that means.
Like, definitely?
Defies. Oh, Defies. Sure. Then it says Fight Top, you're dope as well. So I figured that Jip was like a compliment for you. Thank you, Awkward Unicorn. Appreciate that. Well, before we get out of here, if anyone has any final super chats, any final questions, any statements, anything that you hope to see on Raw tonight, any future storylines that you want seen, I figure we'll probably hang out here for the next few minutes and then we'll get out of here. So this is your last chance to do this. We will continue to last chance. We will continue to do these live chats as much as possible. But yeah. I'm gonna drop
Sorry about my kid being kind of here. It's Monday, so.
This is the
African.
Oh, it won't let me
okay.
put the
Okay.
PayPal in there. That's interesting. So like because I'm on my own account, I was gonna put my PayPal link in there again. It won't let me put it on there because it blocks the link. Yeah, thanks. That's good that it does that though. That it
So anyone else can post theirs.
right. So if
You say something in the chat so I can make you an admin.
hey. There you go.
Okay.
I have another account as well that I might do that with, but don't need to at the moment.
Go.
Some type of new debuts with no replays, John. Yeah, that'd be nice, but unfortunately the debuts thing though is going to be a little soiled by the no fans thing. But it has worked out well for Brody Lee and Matt Hardy in AEW. I mean, debuts are possible.
Yeah, and I mean Bianca Belair, I pop.
Yeah, and she has a big fan base. There's people who have been behind her for a while now and get really salty that she's never won the NXT Women's Championship and stuff, but she's always kind of in the conversation.
She's gonna lose it to Charlotte.
Wait, what's that?
I said, well, thank goodness she didn't win it. If she would have just lost it to Charlotte, I would have been mad.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would have been, and I think there's a lot of people mad about Rhea Ripley. And I think it just, like I said before, Charlotte's just on that pedestal, and I don't have a problem with it. It just is what it is. Like she's more the man than Becky Lynch is, I think. Like in the grand scheme of things, Becky's had a nice year-long title reign and everything, but I think long-term plan, Charlotte's still your top woman going forward.
Yeah.
Awkward Unicorn, gotta go. You're too kind, WWE studs. I think it's...
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
I think.
you.
I think that's a compliment. Gotta go, kiss, kiss. Mwah.
Mwah. Oh, look at you. Oh.
Well, I'm gonna talk about our sponsors real quick. Before we get out of here. So, and John says this has been so cool the past time stuck at home. Thanks for the heads up, Buckeye. And great to see Fight Jensen for the first time. Fight Jensen. I like that nickname. Thanks, John. We appreciate you being a part of the chat today. Very, very much appreciated. You're always welcome. We have some sponsors for the show. Always want to give a shout out to WrestleRumble.com. I mention all the time, this is, so just a camera here in my office, that title belt that you see at the top, that NXT Championship, I won from Wrestle Rumble during their NXT TakeOver New Orleans contest a couple years ago. The one that was headlined by Ciampa versus Gargano in that crazy street fight. So check that out. That's I'll talk about Heroes and Legends in a second. That's Wrestle Rumble. They have the best fantasy pick'em contest for wrestling. The prizes are awesome, like that championship belt. Always a lot of big cash, big prizes. Follow them on Twitter at Wrestle Rumble to stay up to date with all their contests. And also Heroes and Legends. They are a memorabilia / toy / autograph, everything that you could want from professional wrestling. They have it all. A lot of the figures you see displayed there I have bought from Heroes and Legends, especially these Just Toys Bendums there at the bottom of the screen. A lot of those came from Heroes and Legends. They're super nice people. They do fair business. So definitely give them a follow on all social media at HL Pro Wrestling. And they also do live auctions and claim sales and stuff on their Facebook page pretty often. So if you're looking for a good deal, definitely hit up Heroes and Legends. And then also want to give a shout out to my brother Brian Jensen, who is behind Jesse's head, who's he's a professional boxing coach. He's a personal trainer. With the times being as they are, a lot of people are stuck at home and they can't stay in shape. Brian can help you with that. Just give him a follow on Instagram at BoxingATL. That's BoxingATL. Shoot him a message. He can help you stay in shape, lose weight, learn a little self-defense, whatever it is. he can help you remotely during these times. So he'll jump on like a Skype call or some sort of webcam with you and still get your workouts in, still stay in shape while you're quarantined and staying away from everybody. If you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area or anywhere even close, once all this craziness is over, Brian can meet you in person to help you personally with this stuff as well. So get a knockout workout without getting knocked out. Hit up Brian Jensen, and shout out to Steel Boxing and Athletics, which is the name of he co-owns that gym, along with his partner Christian, who's a former professional boxer. And shout out to Steel Boxing and Athletics. Jessi, what do you have going on? Make sure to plug all your stuff.
Okay, so I have, if I can,
I can't do it. Shout out Ethan Klein, H3H3 Productions. And thank you, Corey. Thank you, Corey, so much. I saw you in the chat. If you're still in here, thank you so much for all your support today. Corey Williams. So that's enough? Is that what she said? I think it's definitely time for us to get out of here then. Um, yep. I'm at Fight Talk underscore FIGHTTALK underscore. Jessi is at Jessi the Buckeye at JESSITHEBUCKEYE. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, Jessi's YouTube. That way you'll be notified whenever we go live. We don't have a set schedule for this still, so it's pretty much just a spur of the moment thing. And that's also another reason we so much appreciate all the viewers, all the comments, all the super chats, all that kind of stuff, because we're doing this pretty much out of nowhere most days. So any support that we get on this is like super appreciated, because we literally go live expecting like no one to be in here because nobody knows we're doing it. So it's so appreciated. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here, Jessi? Oh, all right.
thank you everyone for talking with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone for being flexible with me. My mind don't stop. So thank you to everyone. Thank you, Stephen, for not losing your mind. And yes, happy. And thank you everyone. Happy Monday. Yes.
Happy Monday. Yes. All right. Well, I think that's a good stopping point. Once again, subscribe so you know when this is live. I will try to have an audio version of this available sometime later tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see you all in the next chat.